Good morning, it's me, Mr. Treeland, back for another installment of geometry. Today we're going to be looking at parallel and perpendicular lines, and in particular we're going to be looking at writing equations of lines that are parallel or perpendicular to a given line. So I have three examples behind me. I'm going to kind of work through each one, kind of explain my steps, explain the terminology, and hopefully get you on the right track when it comes to writing the equations of lines given a set of circumstances. All right, so let's look at example one. Let's jump right in here. Example one, write the equation of the line, and then remember that symbol, parallel to y equals 2/3 x minus 7. But we got passing through negative 15/8. So they've put two restrictions on us. We're looking to parallel, and we're looking that we have to write an equation that passes through a specific point. All right, so the first thing I'm going to need to do, if I'm talking about parallel and perpendicular, especially in geometry, I'm always talking about slope. So when I talk about parallel lines right now, I need to know slope. So luckily, when we look at the problem that they gave us, y equals 2/3 x minus 7, that particular problem is already in what you call slope-intercept form. It's in this format, y equals mx plus b. Which is great because that's what we're going to use anyways to get get our answers. So the nice thing about y equals mx plus b is it tells us right away that the number next to x is our slope, and then the other number is our intercept. So in this case, 2/3 is our slope. So I'm going to write this down that they gave us. So I'm going to write given slope. All right, so we know the slope is 2/3. That's what they told us. Now we got to think about the terminology, what it means to be parallel. Well, in geometry and in algebra, when you're talking about parallel lines, you're talking about lines that have the same slope. So if I got to have the same slope as 2/3, I need to maybe write that down that parallel is also 2/3. And if I have that, I'm pretty much ready to go. And I'm going to use this formula right here, y equals mx plus b, to get my answer. So I have all the given information I need. I know that I need to use this slope. I know I need to go through that exact location. And I know I need to use this formula. So if I go ahead and rewrite the formula, but this time substitute in the numbers that I've been given, I should be able to work the problem out and get a new equation quickly. So let's go ahead and plug in each of the numbers by substitution here. So in the spot marked y, remember they gave us some numbers. They said negative 15 and 8. Well, this is your x and this is your y. So if you just go ahead and plug that in, 8 equals. And now for the slope, remember we want to be parallel, so we're going to plug in 2/3. For x, we're going to write negative 15. And then for b, that's what we're actually going to solve. Now this is a common mistake. A lot of people automatically think that b has to do with the original equation, and it does not. Remember, we're writing a new equation, which means we want it to go through it's going to have a different y-intercept, and that's actually what we're trying to figure out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the blank. I'm going to leave b there. Now let's go over here, and if I try to just kind of simplify this, I got 2/3 times negative 15. Well, I go like this. 2 times 15 is 30, and 30 divided by 10, or 30 divided by 3 is 10. And a positive times a negative is a negative. Now, I'm still one step away from getting my answer. I just got to figure out what the b value is given that I've plugged all the information in. So I'm going to go ahead and add 10. And it tells me that b is equal to 18. So now I know the answer. I've got this all done. The answer will be, remember we're staying in slope-intercept, y equals 2/3 x, but instead of going through negative 7, our line passes through 18 because we plugged in the given information, the 15 and the 8, or the negative 15 and 8, and that's what happens when you plug those in. It creates a new y-intercept, and that new y-intercept for us is 18. And I can check my work because I know I have a slope of 2/3 and a slope of 2/3. So I'm pretty much on the right track. All right, so example number 2. A little bit different. I said write the equation of the line, that is, and our symbol here, it looks like an upside down T, that's perpendicular to y equals 5x plus 2, passing through 10, negative 11. All right, well, first thing I need to do is figure out, again, slope. So if I have my formula, I know it's right here, y equals mx plus b, and it looks like my equation they gave me is in the right format, y equals mx plus b. That tells me that the given slope is 5. Now I need to figure out what perpendicular is, and according to the lesson that we taught in class, perpendicular means that those are lines that have an opposite slope, meaning one goes up the page and one goes down a page, meaning positive and negative, and that they're reciprocals, meaning you have to take the fraction and flip it over, if you will. Well, I didn't give you a fraction. I told you the slope was 5. But is it really 5? I mean, if we think about it, as slope is supposed to be a rise run, and I just gave you 5, what's really underneath that 5 is the run value, which is in this case 1. So our slope is not really 5. I mean, it is, but it isn't. I mean, it's 5, but it's really, as a ratio, 5 over 1, meaning rise 5 and run 1. Now, that's good. I need to make sure I know that, because right now I'm about to figure out the perpendicular. So the perpendicular will be, remember the conditions, we got to change the sign and flip the fraction. So I'm going to go from positive 5 over 1 to negative 1 over 5. This is kind of the hardest part. Once I get this done, it's pretty much just plug and play like on the last one. We're going to do the same stuff. We're just going to plug those numbers in and we'll get our answer. So let's go ahead and get started. We got y equals mx plus b. We know that the y value in this case, they told us they want us to use negative 11. For our slope, we're going to use negative 1/5 because we want perpendicular. We don't want to be the same. For x, we got 10 plus b. All right, so bringing that down, negative 11. All right, 1 times 10 is 10. 10 divided by 5 is 2. And like I said last time, a negative times a positive is a negative. All right, I'm almost done. I got one more step. I just got to get my b value so that I can go ahead and write my answer. So I got to add 2 to both sides. And that tells me that this is negative 9. So now it's time to write my answer. I know my b value is negative 9. I know my slope is negative 1/5. So my answer will be y equals negative 1/5 x minus 9. And that'll be an equation that is perpendicular and passes through those points. All right, so I saved the worst for the last. So this is a problem that requires a little bit of extra work. So hopefully I'll have enough space. I might have to write off to the side, but when I look at this problem, number 3, I see that I got a little bit of an issue. Because it says write the equation of the line perpendicular, which that's no big deal, we can do that, to x plus 3y equals 9, passing through 5, negative 6. Well, here's our problem. Right away, I can see I got an issue because I'm not in this format. This is where I need to be. There's no way to work this out without being in this format. So I need to find out my slope. So I'm going to make a little spot here because I need some room. So I'm going to make this little spot over here. I hope I don't clutter up the board. But anyways, I'm going to make a little spot here and I'm going to figure out y equals mx plus b. I'm going to do a quick rewrite of what I have. And by the way, it does not hurt in any way, and I'll do this all day long. If you put a 1 there, that has no bearing on the problem. It does not make it more difficult. In fact, for me, it makes it a lot easier. I know it's kind of middle school, but whatever. Anyways, I'm trying to get y by itself. So I'm going to minus 3x, or minus 1x. And that brings me down to 3y equals negative 1x. And remember what I want to keep it in this format, so I'm going to write that x first. And that's a 9. It doesn't have a negative sign, so it must be positive 9. And then I got to divide everybody by 3. Well, all right, what do I got here? I got negative 1 divided by 3. So it looks like my slope is negative 1/3. And that's what I needed to know. And I didn't have that information when I started the problem. Now that I've done this little side problem, which is a little bit of extra work, now I know the right slope. Now I can get on with this. So the slope that they gave me although they did not make it easy for me, is 1/3 negative. So what would be perpendicular to negative 1/3? We'll change the sign, change it to positive, and then flip the fraction. Make it 3/1. Or, since 3 divides by 1 and it actually just gives us a whole number, we could also just say it's 3. I kind of like that when I do a problem. If I can write it as a whole number, it's always nicer. All right, so back to the problem. Let's plug in the information. In the spot marked y, we got -6. For our slope, we have 3. X is 5. And we're going to solve for b. -6 equals 15 plus b. I'm going to minus that 15. I'm going to use a calculator. I'm not going to mess up this problem after doing all that work and then turn around and say something like, it's 9. No, it's -21. All right, no making mistakes. Don't do any little graphic, little tiny computational error when you got a calculator. -6 minus 15 is -21. Drives me crazy in class when I see somebody do all this work and then they mess it up on something really small like that. All right, so my final answer, sticking with writing in a different color here, we got y equals 3x minus 21. And so there you go, ladies and gentlemen, that is how we do writing the equation of a parallel and perpendicular line. I hope this helps. I hope this helps you out with your homework. I hope it gets your assignments done or whatever. Thank you. Bye.